All right, guys, welcome back to Crossman Productions. You guys, I am so excited about today's show. So I've been actually, thinking about this show all day. So I told you guys I have a special guest that's coming on. I've been talking about it, kind of all week. Um, but the person I have on today, so let me set the stage first. So Ginger started posting some things about a show called Vindication, and then I started seeing it from Olivia Disney and some other people, and I'm like, okay, again, one of those shows I was late to the table. I like The Chosen, but so I decided, I'll check it out. And then Ginger said that she wanted to introduce me to my next guest and have her on the show. So I watched the show. I binge watched 2 seasons. I just finished season 2 yesterday. I watched the season finale, which is driving me crazy because I know that season 3 does not come out until September, and so I'm dying to know what happened. And I know I'm going to talk to Venus about it, and she's not going to be able to tell me anything, any spoiler alerts. So I'll have to wait till September. But I do want to talk to her about season 2 because I'm really excited about that. So you guys, we started the merch store this week. So if you guys get a chance, go check that out at Crossman Production. You have some T-shirts, some hoodies, some beanies. We're adding some new merchandise on there, so definitely go check that out. Also, we have such an amazing lineup coming up. Obviously we got Venus tonight, and then tomorrow we have the former wrestler, WWE wrestler, Bishop Stevens, which I've been looking forward to talk to him as well. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe, like, comment, share, hit the notification bell. That way, as our shows come out, you guys will be notified. Now, I am so excited about bringing my guest in. So let's go ahead and bring Venus in. Venus, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, you're welcome so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, normally when I bring somebody on the show, we talk, obviously the show is about sharing your journey. And then towards the end, we get to talk about some of the projects that you get, that they work on. But I'm super excited to get to, talking about the projects. But
Yeah.
first, I do want, our audience to get to meet you and get to know, about your journey and your story. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Having you on and learn your story and get to hear from you and actually get to meet you. And it's from all the stuff I've seen, you're such an amazing person. So
Oh, thanks.
I'm just excited about it. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. So um, let's talk about kind of where you were born and raised, and what was life like for Venus growing up.
I grew up in a small town, which I loved. I appreciate more now that I'm older than I did when I was in it. But
Yeah,
yeah, small town life. I did a whole bunch of sports because that was kind of all there was to do out there.
right,
And I just enjoyed like friendships and relationships. Like you don't realize how close you connect with those people in your small town until you're gone. So that was
right,
kind of like my growing up, and just I had really great parents, very like level headed. They never pushed me to do anything or made me think about like how are you going to make money and are you going to be successful? Like nothing like that. I just got to enjoy being who I was, and that
right,
gave me like a self worth of who I am is enough, and I don't have to strive to be more or do more. So
right.
yeah.
Well, cool. So now, did you grow up in Texas, or you born and
Yeah,
raised?
yeah, I'm in Texan. I love Texas. I won't say specifically where I grew up just because it's personal private, but West
No,
Texas is where I grew up. So I love it out there. It's beautiful. The stars are gorgeous. The
right,
landscape, it's just like you can see for miles, and the sunsets and the sunrises, they're just beautiful.
right.
I
And
enjoy, yeah.
that's the thing about Texas too is that you have the big towns like Dallas, kind of where I'm at, and then you have the country, what we call the country here in Texas, yeah, um, where there's nothing there, and you can just go in, go outside and just see the stars, and you know, it's like two different places, even though it's here in Texas.
It really is. Yeah.
So my wife has that. She's like her parents live out in the country, and it's just such a different atmosphere. Everything's kind of slowed down. You know, I guess it's a slower pace.
It is. It's peaceful and it's calm, and like people are enjoying themselves and just being rather than hustling and bustling to do the next thing.
Right, and they're so friendly. The neighbors are always so friendly. You know,
Mhm.
like their neighbors, even though they have like 10 acres of land, and the neighbor is like several acres down.
Mhm.
He's always coming over, cutting their grass, and
Yeah.
if he sees them, bringing in groceries, he'll stop and help them bring in their groceries.
Yes.
So and
Yeah.
you don't get that in a big town.
Do it. No, yeah, you really
You
don't.
don't get that in a big town. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's just more people are just a little more suspect of each other because there's such a mixture of people. So I'm guessing that's why.
Yeah, that's probably, and everybody there, they just rely on each other too. I think
Yeah.
a little bit more. So,
Mhm.
anyways, yeah, that's cool. So, so let's talk about kind of like school. Like, were you in any kind of like theater or anything other than sports?
No, we had a theater program there, and so I was aware of it, but I never wanted to do acting. It was never a thing that I thought about. I
Right,
did like pageants when I was a kid, and I did recitals and stuff, but
right,
that never carried over to me like hoping one day to do acting. That I did end up signing with an agency and doing acting for a year in high school, but
right.
that wasn't in my town where I grew up. That's when I moved to a bigger town near San Antonio. I ended up signing with an agent, doing all of that. Just I saw their ad in the back of the paper and was like, oh, let's do this. And so I ended up doing that experience, and I went out to LA for a week or two and kind of did acting classes and all of that. And that's when I found out like I absolutely hate this. These
Oh
classes,
wow,
like
right,
I
right.
like I'm like acting like a I don't know, you had to act like a squirrel and you had to act like a whatever, and you had to get on the floor and then you have to roll and then you have to like do all these weird things. And I was like, okay,
Right.
good. I tried it. I'm good.
Right. I read somewhere that you started acting in theater. Is that right?
I did that in college. Yes. After
Okay,
God told me to do acting, I did theater. Yeah.
cool. So, so you were doing sports,
Mhm.
playing sports in school. Where did you kind of, find your passion in acting?
You know, it's funny. I don't ever think I've called it a passion. I don't think I've
Mhm.
ever, it's a duty.
Oh,
And I say that because it's not, I didn't choose to do this. God told me to do it. Like when I was in college, um, like I was just walking on campus one day and I was by myself walking on the sidewalk and I looked at a building and I just remember this download just coming at me saying, I want to do acting. Why am I not getting my degree in theater? And it was like, whoa. And the other part of my brain was like, no, you hate acting. You already tried acting. There is no way.
right,
Like, who is talking to you right now? So I knew immediately that God was telling me to do acting. And that day I was like, okay. I went home and I guess somehow I had processed throughout the day. Like when people, I knew for sure I was going to do acting, and I knew that actors tend to get tempted and they compromise and they do these things to try to get ahead. And so that same day I went home and I wrote in a notebook the things, my lines in the sand, the things that I won't do if I'm going to do this career, the things that I will not do. And I wanted to establish that before I started making headway in the industry. So, yeah.
wow. Do you think that by doing that, has it like, do you feel like it's ever hindered you from getting roles, or
Oh, yeah.
do you think that God still opens, He's opening the doors and still,
Oh, he totally does. He opens so many doors, and those are the best doors. But
right,
there have been several where I've read a little bit of the breakdown, and then I
right,
audition, and they're like, "Hey, we'd love to see you," and they send the script, and it's like, "Oh, okay, I didn't know this character was going in this direction. I'm going to have to
right,
step back because this isn't something that I'm like that I would like to be involved in." And I'm, very gracious about it. So tell them thank you. I hope we can work on something in the future, but this isn't my cup of tea. And
right,
so there have been many times where it's a pending project where like I could have the role, but they want me to do X, Y, or Z, and I'm not good with that. And I would rather honor God and like and live that life than chase the whatever, the endeavor. So yeah, it's happened many, many times. And I think that's something that I had to come to terms with too in the beginning, was knowing that my career path was going to be possibly a lot slower than my friends, because I came to Austin to do acting, and a lot of my friends are willing to do whatever. They enjoy the craft, and so they'll do whatever they feel comfortable doing. I have a lot of things I won't do. So I was like, yeah, I need to be okay with moving a little slower, and that's fine.
Cool. So, when you were first going to college, you were trying to get a degree at something completely different.
Yeah, when I went to college, okay, first off, I didn't want to go to college. I went to college because I wanted to get out of my hometown, and I didn't know where to go. And I thought, well, I guess college is a good way to get out. So I only applied to 2 universities. I got into both. I should have gone to the first one, which was out of state. It was a Christian university, but I didn't know anything about out of state tuition and all of that. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll just stay in state and I'll go where my friend went. And so I ended up going to the other university, which was totally fine. I had a good time, but it set my life on a different path, which is fine. I like my life. But so I was going for kinesiology and sports science, because I grew up in sports. That's all I knew. And I thought, well, if I'm going to go to college, I don't know what I'm going to do. All I know is like coach, doctor, I don't know, teacher. I had a very limited view on what was available, which unfortunately it sucks now. I wish I would have known, because there are so many things I'm interested in. But yeah, so I just finished my degree in kinesiology and then did physical therapy for a little bit.
Wow.
And then started shifting over into acting.
Cool. So now, when you did shift over to acting, is there like a pivotal moment that you're like, because you said, it wasn't something that you were passionate about. It wasn't something that, that I guess you chose, because you felt like this is something God called you into. But was there ever like a moment by, doing acting, you're like, okay, I know I'm where God wants me to be?
I mean, there's been a couple of times, that moment for sure, when he told me to do acting. And then it was shortly after that experience on campus, I had gone home. And I think just the feeling of like, oh, he cared enough about me to show me my purpose. My mom and I went to a church in my small hometown. And I was so grateful that he showed me that. And I was crying in church. And I had never been to this church. It wasn't a pastor that I knew. And somehow I was on the front row. Don't remember how I got there. But we were just there, and I was just crying, just so grateful that God cared enough about me to show me that. And the pastor came up to me, and I had already shared this with my mom. I'm going to do acting. This is what God told me. And so we're sitting there, and the pastor comes up, and he's telling me all of these things that God's telling him. And me, I'm like rolling my eyes, because I'm like, dude, you don't know me. Like, you're just saying all these things. You're trying to pacify me because I'm crying, and like, you don't really know what I'm crying about. I'm just so grateful right now. And so I'm thinking all these things while he's telling me what God's telling him. So I'm not hearing anything that God's telling him until he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he looks down and he laughs, and he goes, he told me to tell you, you will bring fame to his name.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what? Okay. And so that really confirmed it for me. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't listening to anything else you said. Can you repeat all of that you said God was telling you? So I don't know what any of that other stuff was, but my mom was there. And so we just always remembered that, like, he confirmed it by speaking through the pastor, telling me that I will bring fame to his name. I don't know what that'll look like. But it was like that, which are really awesome.
And that's always cool too. Like, whenever you're dealing with something, privately, and you can go to a place that nobody knows.
Yeah.
And then God could give somebody a word, and they can talk, and tell you, and you automatically know that's God, because how would that person ever know?
Exactly. And that's exactly why I was discounting him, because I'm like, you don't know what I'm going through. And that's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I felt so bad. I never told that though. I never told him I wasn't listening to anything. I just,
Right.
in my mind, I just wasn't listening.
So, and he probably got it too. That's probably why God told him what he said, just to shock you,
That's
to
exactly.
realize it's coming from God.
Mm-hmm. And I honestly, I should go back home and I should try to find that pastor and be like, hey, do you happen to remember what God told you?
Right?
Maybe I'll do that someday.
It's like, by the way, can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, like 10, 20 years ago, that thing.
Right? Well, cool. So, going back and, because you acted a little bit and then you stopped because you did, some theater. You had an agency or whatever, and then you stopped, and then you decided, well, I told you to go back into acting again. Um, what are some of the things that you've learned from the first time till now that really stick with you?
Oh, so I realized the reason I hated it, one, because the agency that I was signed with was actually a scam.
Right.
And so that was a big part of it. But secondly, when we went out to LA, I remember it, like, there were just so many weird things we did in LA. And one of them was I didn't, so I was a Christian at the time, but I didn't really understand that I should have like gotten out of this part of it.
Right.
I remember laying on the floor and I don't really know what the purpose of this class was, but they were doing like a little stone over your eye and, like all the chakra stuff. And that was my first introduction to it. So I didn't know what that was. And I'm laying there and I'm just letting that happen to me. And so I realize now, like, that is not God honoring at all. Like, that is not biblical. That's not something I should have allowed. And then I think that one really stands out the most of what I learned from then to now, and just knowing what is possible when you are in this industry and the weird things that are in the name of the craft and getting better and improvement. So I'm kind of grateful for that, just because I understand what is out there.
Right. Wow. So now, if if somebody else is trying to go into this industry, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give them?
Know your boundaries and make them known. 100%, because it's one thing for you to know what they are, but you also need to let others know what your boundaries are. When I moved to Austin to start doing acting, one of the things I did, whenever I was going to get an acting coach or starting acting class, I let them know that, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm not up for doing any kissing scenes. I'm not up for this kind of scene. I don't want to, say these cuss words. Like, here's the things I just don't want to do. If you're okay with that, I'll take your class. If not, then no worries. I'll go find another class. But me setting that precedent at the beginning, it kept it from being awkward and uncomfortable when they've done all this work, because there's a lot that goes into the acting coach finding you a scene partner so that you both fit the characters, and then everybody else is like, she's got to find a partner for all of them. So by me telling my coach in the beginning, like, I'm not game for this, it just helped them so much to know, like, I'm not going to waste my time giving you a scene that you don't want to do. And so it was, and I found like the coaches were very respectful of it. I didn't have one coach that was not okay with that. There was an acting coach that told one of my friends, you need to be willing to do anything. If you're going to get anywhere in this industry, you need to be able to, XYZ. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't have taken her class. So yeah, that's one of the things I would definitely tell those that are coming into it is, and not just like know your boundaries in your mind, like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to do that. Actually write them down, because when you write something down, it requires you to finish a thought. So then you're able to put that all in a sentence and have a firm ending and a firm thing to stand on when it comes time, and make sure that you've got your boundaries set before you start your career. Because when it's like, you've got this opportunity to work with somebody that you admire in the industry, or, oh, this production is going to pay you this amount of money if you'll do this. It's much harder to say no when you haven't established those things for yourself.
Right. I know an actress now who she's been acting since she was 3,
Oh, cool.
And so she's been doing this for a while, and she just kind of left LA to come back, you know. And I think that that's kind of what she's starting to do. She's, you know, a younger actress, and I think that that's what you're saying. I think it kind of clicked with her, you know, that that's what she wants to do, start laying down these boundaries, you know. And maybe she's been doing it for a while, but you can see it now as an actress. Um, and so, you know, I think that's you know, awesome that people are doing it. They're saying, hey, look, we got to draw a line, you know. And I noticed that too, because, you know, watching season 2 of Vindication, there's actually a scene in there where your character is that way. They asked her to do something and she wasn't comfortable doing. Do you remember that?
No. Which like
It was for the sting operation when they asked you to wear the fishnets and the halter top, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
I was also asked to play that role, and
right.
like, and to not just in the story, but in real life, they like they had offered for me to play that
Right.
character that's in the street, and I was like, not my thing.
Oh, you know,
But
so
I
when
will
you
say,
were saying that,
yeah.
you know, as you were saying that, I was like, oh, yeah, I see. I saw her do it like literally in the show. She, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will say, I know we're not talking about projects yet, but Jared O'Flaherty, he's the writer and director and creator of All of Vindication. He
right.
is so good about respecting people's boundaries and making sure they're comfortable with what is in the scene and being willing to change it if they're not. So that's been really awesome.
That's cool. Yeah.
And going back to the boundaries thing, and I think what happens with a lot of actors is they're not necessarily crossing their own lines. They just, because they haven't established those lines, it's
Right.
just a little bit here and then, just do a little bit more, just a little bit more. And it just slowly creeps up on you. One of my friends sent me this interview of a girl who started out in theater and she went out to LA. And she had that story, just little by little, she was compromising, didn't realize it until it was just like, man, what have I done? And so now she's
Right.
kind of stepped back and did the same thing that the girl you talked about did.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing is that, and this is with kind of anything, you know, people try to play around in little gray areas.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and they don't see, you know, that they're compromising.
Right.
Because, you know, it's you know, they call it gray area because it's like you go either way type thing. But then you start doing that, the more often you do that, the bigger the gray areas become.
Yeah.
And you realize that, hey, you're in a place that you never intended to be.
Right.
So, but I think it's cool that you decided from the beginning to write it down and say, hey, these are the lines that, you know, I'm not going to cross. You know, so did you establish that from the beginning?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, that must have been God, like telling me to do that, because I or maybe it was me, I don't know. But either way, it was the same day that he told me. It was like, okay, well then if I know this for certain, then I better know this for certain.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, cool. So that's good. So, and that's really good advice for somebody who's getting in, you know, into the industry, to make sure you're setting those boundaries.
Mm-hmm. And you know,
where you know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do.
Right. And you know, Cross, it's been kind of sad a few times when I have parents come up to me with their daughters or their kids and they're like, my child wants to do acting. She was so excited when she heard about you doing acting and she wants to get into it. And I told her she better be willing to do anything and everything, because if she wants to make it in that industry, it's hard. And I'm like, no, she does not have to be willing to do anything and everything. Like, she's a human. She can have her morals and her values and she can say no. I mean, she doesn't even have to cut her hair if she doesn't want to. So there's just so many things to think about. And it just saddens me when I hear parents say, like, you know, push that on their kid that they better be willing to go all out.
Right. You know, and you know, that's another thing too. You know, to bring up a really good point is, you know, people have been doing that for so long in Hollywood because they have that mind frame that in order to get ahead, I have to do things that, you know, that I really don't want to do or not,
Right.
but they don't realize the, I think the industry has changed so much now, especially after the pandemic, because you have a lot more independent films and independent companies coming out that gives actors more opportunities than they had previously. Because
Yeah.
used to you had to work for the big, one of the big production companies if you ever thought about getting into acting,
Hmm.
and obviously working for one of the big production companies, there's going to be they're going to require you to do certain things. You know what I mean? And so people were willing to do it. But now that the scope um, of the industry has gotten so big with all these independent films, I don't think the actors really do have to do that anymore. They can do what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and set those boundaries and still get out there and do things. That's first thing. Second thing is, and that I admire about you too, is that by doing that, you're honoring God and what
Hmm.
you're, and God is always going uh, to have your back when you're doing stuff to honor Him.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I have a story about that actually. It just made me think of it. Do you know what a stand-in is?
oh wait,
A stand-in?
yes, yes,
Okay. So for those who may not know, it's like a double, except you're never on screen. You're just there to take the place of the lead actor as they go get ready for hair and makeup after they rehearse.
right,
So I was a stand-in for Jennifer Garner. There was a movie that came through in Austin, and I was her stand-in.
right,
And on set one day, there was a scene that came up, and it wasn't her scene; it was someone else, but they were brunette, so I stood in for that brunette too. And
right.
she had a scene where she was on the bed straddling this dude. I
Mm,
don't remember who it was. I think it was Adam Sandler. I don't remember. And so they did the rehearsal, and I'm watching this rehearsal. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to be doing that. So they go to their hair, makeup, and stuff, and they go get ready. And me and the other guy stand in. We go to the bed, and I'm
right,
like, okay, well, I'm going to put my knees on both sides of him, and I'll hover over him so that my face is where her face is. They can do lighting and sound and everything, but I'm not going to straddle this dude. I don't know him.
right,
Like, he's not my husband.
right,
Um, and so I heard whispers in the room as we're doing that, but nobody told me anything. And I'm like, cool, no one's saying anything. I mean, I'll walk off set if they're not cool with it, it's fine. But we did the whole scene. And afterwards, my agent called me. She was like, hey, I just heard about some stuff on set. I just wanted to hear your take on it, hear what happened. And I told her, here's the scene. And I wasn't comfortable doing that. So I didn't. And she's like, okay, well, I'll call production and I'll call you right back. So she called me back. They basically fired me.
oh,
She was like, they can't, they need to know that you won't do that again. And so they're going to go ahead and bring in someone else. And I'm like, that's fine because I don't know that I won't do it again. I don't know what's in the script.
right,
So they let me go. And then talking about God having your back, the next
right.
day I got a call from my agent. She was like, hey, production wants you back on set. I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy because as a stand-in, it's not like they're filming anything. They're
Right.
just setting the lighting and stuff. So as long as you're still in the basic position where they can do the lighting, what does
Hmm.
it matter if you're you know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, I think they just hadn't experienced that before, where there was, just somebody defying what was supposed to be done. I'm guessing.
Right,
So yeah, it was really interesting, but it also felt good because my husband, I was honoring him by not doing that. And my husband's in the film industry too, and I know some of the guys that worked on it also know my husband, and so it froze. Are you still there, Cross? I'm gonna hang tight until the connection comes back. Maybe it's my connection. No, I've got full bars. Oh no. If you can send me a message, Cross, if you can still hear me, I'll message you too. Oh, hey, I guess I'm going to show by myself. Let's see if this is live and if Cross is coming back. I'll just tell you guys about if you're a female actress and you need mentoring, if you need to be around like other Christian women who are also in the industry, I've got a couple of things that I started that God pretty much had me start. One of those is I think Cross is coming back.
All right, there we go.
Ah, there you are.
Look, I got kicked off the internet, it looks like.
It seems like it's good now.
Okay, cool. So, sorry about that.
All good.
All right, cool. So, so you said that by doing that, you were honoring your husband. And you said your husband is also in the film industry.
Yeah, he's also in the film industry, and so it just, and he's always told me, like in the beginning, like he's told me, V, if you're not happy with what's going on, if you're not comfortable, just walk away. Like, you know, we don't need what they're offering, you know, whatever. So he's always given me that backbone of, you can walk away at any point and I will support you and I will be there for you. And so it's great because it's not a pressure of, well, you need to finish this project so your name can be attached to it. And, you know, he's not that person. Right. So there's just always this comfort in knowing that I can say no and things will be okay.
Cool. That's cool. You know, and the other thing too is I know that gives the company, you know, the film company that was doing it, they have to, you know, have some kind of gives them more respect for you because they know what you're willing to do and what you're not. And the fact that they let you go and brought you back means something too. You know?
I know. I'm like, that's all God. That's crazy. Because I just thought I was done with that one, which would have been fine by me. But talking about, you just reminded me of another story. And I love getting to tell these stories because I feel like they highlight God and what he can do.
Right.
So I booked this Ford commercial and it was riding ATVs, and that, you know, that's kind of all I knew. I was riding ATVs and like we're doing a truck commercial. And so I get on set and I realize, oh, another dude booked it. Cool. Okay. So I told my acting partner, I was like, hey, I don't know what they have planned for us today, but just so you know, if they want us to do some lovey-dovey stuff, I'm not for that. So just so you know. And he was like, okay, I respect that. And so it did come time. There was like a scene where they wanted us to be cuddled up by the fire. They wanted us to hold hands and walk to the truck and this stuff. And the actor guy, I mean, God bless him for real. I hope God blesses him because he really appreciated or respected what I said. And he was not jumping over that line to do what they were asking him to do. And it came to the point where we were sitting by the campfire and they were asking him, they were teasing him like, oh, he's not comfortable or he doesn't know how to, you know, do something with a woman. And I'm just listening to this stuff and I'm like, no, I'm just not going to do that. So after we wrapped, I went to the director and I was like, I just want you to know that, and I forgot his name. I wish I remembered his name. I said, I just want you to know that all the lovey-dovey stuff, it wasn't him that had a problem with any of it. He would have done everything you asked, but I didn't know that's what this commercial entailed. And I'm married and I'm not going to do those things. And the director just looked at me with like deer in the headlight looks like, what? What did I just hear out of your mouth? I mean, absolute shock. But I wanted to make sure that they knew, like, this dude is great. He would have done everything that you asked, but he was being respectful of me. So I don't know. I don't know if that helped him or hurt him, but I remember and I appreciate what he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. As an actress, is there like a particular role that you would love to do? Like a character or a type of movie that you're like, I would love to do this role?
So yes, and Vindication is that role. Like I told Jared after season 1, I said, thank you for booking me for this role. Like if I never got to do another role, I would be happy with just this one because I got to like use the gun. I got fight choreography. I got, you know, emotional range where it's like good days and absolutely blowing up and so sad and breaking down. I mean, I got all of that, and the entire production, the entire project is to point people to Jesus. Like that's everything that I would have wanted to do in one. And the only thing I've told Jared, I'm like, the only thing I would like to do extra is a little bit of parkour. I don't know how to do parkour, but
Right.
I'd like to do parkour.
I can see your character going that route.
That would be awesome. I mean, it would be super fun also to do like a John Wick movie or a Taken movie because I just love the action stuff. But those don't really glorify God in any way, so I don't need to get there. But
but all the stuff you talked about with using the gun, some of the fight scenes, the range of motion, you did all that in season 2.
I know, and I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. This is what I've always wanted.
So, what's funny? We'll go ahead and we'll talk a little bit about Vindication.
Yeah.
Because I was, just finished watching the season finale, and one of the things is that when I first started watching season 1, and they introduced your character, Detective Travis. I thought that he treated your character so mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was so mean to you at the beginning. I'm like, I know, like the first couple of episodes, like your character's trying to establish her role into the police department, and I guess Travis is supposed to have been like more of a loner cop,
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the way he treated like your character starting off, I was like, man.
I know. It gives you a little compassion for Chris in the beginning.
So, and then, as the show progressed, going from season 1 to 2, the production value of it and the storyline, I think, just like, was incredible.
Yeah.
And then the characters, all the characters that they brought in, especially Detective Millwood.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Bringing in TC,
Mm-hmm.
his character, and then bringing in Anthony.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know any of these characters, this is more of a reason to go watch the show.
Yes, they're all awesome, and huge shout out. It would not be as great as it is without, like you said, the production value, and major kudos to Ron Gonzalez, and he's our DP, and then Mike Gonzalez, who's his brother. They're just a great team. If we didn't have them and their equipment and their experience, because they've been doing this for years, it would not be as good as it does. So yeah, big kudos to them.
Yeah, and you can see, I'll say like a big difference, but you're going from season 1 to season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sure even we're season 3, because it just seems like it just progressively just kept getting better. Yeah. So when it first started, it was, it seemed like it was going to be like sort of like one of the independent type films.
Yeah.
But now when I, go into your season with season 2, I think that this is something that they could play on Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put it on a series on Netflix or one of the, the big streaming platforms. It's on PureFlix right now, and PureFlix is growing. So I'm not putting anything against PureFlix, but some of the mainstream, because a lot of the Christian programming is getting starting to get recognized in in the I guess the general setting, with movies like The Jesus Revolution, doing so well in the box office, with The Chosen doing so well, and I see Vindication going that route, saying that they're going the same route that The Chosen went. And I always talk about The Chosen, and I think that the word's starting to get out with Vindication. I see that that this series growing into something really big.
That's what the hope is, for sure. I mean, it's I think Jared's got so many more stories up his sleeve. Like, I don't even know how he comes up with the stories he does, but I've read the scripts and I'm like, oh my gosh, my jaw's dropping and I'm crying. And I'm like, how do you think of these things? I don't know, but he just keeps creating good stuff.
Right. And in the storyline, for the writers are doing a great job, with the storyline as well. So
Yeah, and we've had a couple of so Jared's written most of the episodes, but we've also had Alan Tregoning. He's written a lot of great episodes in 1 and 2. I don't know if he wrote any for 3. But yeah, he's written a lot of great ones. Meredith Johnson wrote an episode. A few other people kind of did some episodes, and they did a great job too. Yeah, all the stories are awesome.
Yeah, and it's good, especially leading up to the season finale. You know, I think I want to say maybe the last 3 episodes of season 2, like had you completely hooked. You know, so you know when you get to the end of season 2, the finale. You know, I'm like, you know, I was waiting to see for the next episode, and then he goes off, and it's like, I was like, was that really the last episode of the season? Seriously?
And you know what's funny? None of us knew who was in the body bag. Jared wouldn't even tell us. We're like, oh, are we coming back next season? None of us knew. And then finally we were told. So, but yeah.
You know, that's what I kept doing. I kept like, so yesterday after that, I'm like, all right, let me go see if I can find a teaser for season 3, so I can at least see who made it, who didn't make it.
Oh yeah, did you watch the trailer?
Buddy sent it to me this afternoon.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna watch it. But yeah. I'm like, well, hopefully Chris is still in it because she is in the poster.
Oh, I'm not in the poster.
Oh, you're not in the poster? Oh, you know what? You're not. There's the new poster. You know what? That's true. You're not in the poster.
You may have seen Olivia Disney. I think or Peggy. Maybe it was her that you saw.
I saw Olivia in the new one in the poster.
Yeah.
There was somebody else at the side. Hold on.
Oh, maybe it was Tinley Stitzer.
Oh, you know what? I think wasn't his assistant? Maybe wasn't it?
Oh, Candace Kirkpatrick could have been. Don't know. I just know I wasn't there. But yeah.
All right. I'll put a look. So there's the poster. So she's right by that's his assistant. That was his assistant. It was a small picture, so I didn't see it. So you got TC on one side of him, and then that was his assistant, right?
Are you talking about by Todd?
Yeah.
By Todd, that's Peggy Schott. She plays.
Oh,
Todd.
that's his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's his wife. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That makes more sense, I guess, than his assistant being there.
Oh, true. Good point.
So now I'm curious. Now you go watch the trailer.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good trailer. It is such a good trailer.
So now, did you guys already finish up season 3, or are you guys still working on season 3?
No, they wrapped season 3, I want to say last year sometime. And so the trailer just released. And so season 3 is going to air in September, but it also got picked up for season 4. So from my understanding, season 4 is about to start filming.
Okay. Yeah. Because Olivia said that she thinks they were getting ready to start casting for season 4.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. They have already done some casting for it. I think there's going to be more casting calls. So if you have actors that are watching this, just go to Actors Access or Ronnie Hummel Productions, and they are the ones casting.
Cool. And we'll put that information to at the end of the interview. So if somebody's interested, they can go in and see it. So that's awesome. And I'm excited about Olivia being in it too. I had no idea she was in it until I'm working on something else with Olivia and another guy named James Stokes.
Oh, cool.
And so, I was talking to him about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I was in season 3 of Vindication." I'm like, "Seriously? I didn't know." So, because she's from originally she was from Arkansas, so I had no idea she came up to Texas and was filming. So
that's cool that y'all work together. That's always fun.
Yeah, and so I had no idea. And then Buddy Campbell as well.
Great. He's so helpful and friendly, and it's so nice when he sends me auditions that I didn't even see. I'm sure he does that for a lot of his actor friends, but it's so appreciated. So
I was talking to him. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna. I was texting him today, and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to interview Venus tonight." And I was like, I didn't even know Buddy was in it until I saw. Was it was it had to be season 2 when he was in on the board. Whenever they were
Oh,
talking about who's going to be the chief,
mhm.
and I saw Buddy as one of the I guess the board members or whatever who's going to decide. I'm like, hey, look,
Yeah.
there's Buddy Campbell. So
Mhm.
I hit him up today. I'm like, hey, I just watched the season finale of Vindication. I saw you on the show. I didn't even know you were on the show.
Yeah. That's
So I'm
awesome.
like, yeah. So I said, I told him I was interviewing you tonight. And he's like, he said, tell her I said hi. He's like, I love Venus to death. So,
Oh, that's super sweet.
so
And you
yeah.
can even, like it wasn't, was it somebody, one of the fans started a group for Vindication called Vindy Nation.
Wow.
You're welcome, I think, to post this interview in there if you want to.
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely put it in there. So now we can't. I know you can't tell me anything about season 3. Um, so I'm gonna have to wait till September. Uh, but which is cool too. One of the other things that Buddy sent me today too was pictures from the screening that you guys went to last week.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so great. It was so good to see everybody's face again. It was so nice.
So how long has it been since like from season 3, or since you guys filmed to like their release date? Because it
Um,
takes a year to film the whole season, right?
I think it takes probably 8 months or so to film the season because it's like shooting 2 episodes at a time and then go home and then reconvene and do 2 more. And so that's kind of how it operates. So probably about 8 months, but I'm guessing season 3, it wrapped, gosh, over a year ago. And the big delay has just been PureFlix. Like it would have already been released, but PureFlix
Right.
has their own release schedule. And so PureFlix could have been, Vindication, I think could have been released last year, honestly, like in the fall of last year. But because of their release schedule, it's now going to be September 23.
Wow.
But so it's been wrapped for a while. Season 3 has been wrapped for a while.
And I saw too that PureFlix just got bought by another bigger company.
Yeah, Great American Family. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's good too because that means that's going to help that channel.
Yeah.
Grow as well. So
Right.
And seeing all the stuff that they that PureFlix has got going on, but so let me just say this to PureFlix though. It's the episodes earlier. No,
What?
year.
I know. I want to see it too.
So
I did get,
you guys only saw the first 4, right?
sorry?
You guys only saw the first 4 episodes, right?
Yep. At the private screening, yeah, we got to see the first 4, and they were so good.
So, man, so that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you posted that there's something coming up in July.
Yeah, actually June. So yeah, Peggy Schott, she's the wife of the lead character Todd Terry.
Right.
She volunteers at a pregnancy center, and so one of her ideas was because she and I live near each other, and so she was thinking, why don't we get together, show a couple of episodes of Vindication, and then we'll have a Q&A, and we'll talk about we'll have a Q&A and talk about that, but also bring in the executive director of the Pregnancy Resource Center and make a benefit screening out of it. So she found a theater, and they're going to let us use the theater. We're going to have a photographer and that whole step and repeat backdrop. And she'll be there. I'll be there. And it's just kind of like, come watch some episodes, hear about the show. And also all the proceeds go to benefit the pregnancy center.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's I think I posted that too on my Facebook to help promote.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you. Yeah.
So, well, cool. So let me ask you. So now you've done Vindication. Do you have anything else in the works that you're working on?
I have a couple of things that I did pilots for, and funny enough, they're both comedies. I hadn't done any comedies in my career, and then within a span of like 3 months, I think I got 2 comedic roles. And I'm so excited about both of them because they're both so good. So one of them is called Empty Nets, and it's about Jesus Days, but there's like a really funny spin on it. Do you know who Leland Clausen is?
Not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay. He's a Christian comedian, super funny guy, great guy. He just had this idea, and he's already written a film before, but he decided he wanted to do this series. And so we shot the pilot when we were at a film festival. Actually, we shot it there, and we let everybody who was at the film festival watch the shooting process. And we take a break, and the AD would say, "So the reason we're doing this is because of X, Y, Z." And does everybody know what this is? And it was kind of like an educational time for the attendees, but then also we were really shooting a pilot.
Right.
And so it's super funny content. Leland's talking to people about it getting picked up or what the future of it is going to be. And then the other one is a comedy, but it's a different kind. So it's similar to Big Bang Theory, where it's comedy, but I guess I should say it's theology wrapped in comedy. So it's intelligent conversation, it's deep theology, but it's wrapped in comedy so that it's easier for the audience to digest.
Right.
And the writer, Josh Cox, and the creator, his whole thing is that he would love for Christians to understand the theology better and understand the depths of the Bible better. And so he has a really neat story of, it's a gamer, and his whole family's atheist. So I'm the wife of the gamer. And he's atheist, but he always games with this Christian dude. And somewhere along the way, they connect, and my husband in the show becomes a Christian. And so then it's like, whoa, as the family, how is this going to work? Because you've led us to be atheist. And so it's just a really neat story. And I love that Josh wrote about gamers, because I don't feel like I've seen any shows directed towards gamers, especially Christian shows that reach that market.
Right.
So, and it's a huge market.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like, especially with social media, with Twitch and Discord, and I mean that's a huge market to get involved in. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's pitching it to different distributors right now, or companies. So we'll see what actually happens with it. But I'm excited for it.
So now I'm gonna ask you, are you a gamer?
I'm not. I don't even like the TV. I do not like. I would take the TVs out of my house. I just feel like there are so many more productive things to do with life than sit in front of a screen. So I seldom watch TV. I don't. Yeah, I use my computer, but
right.
But I can pretend.
So so this being a gamer movie, and being a comedy, how were you able to adjust to that from being more of a serious role, getting into comedy? Was that like a huge adjustment, like trying to?
Yeah, and it's super fun because it's like a different kind of challenge, because I know my character isn't necessarily funny, but I do complement the funny in the show, and so it's just like a learning process of, I'm so used to playing things serious with deep depth, and so when I see these, I'm like, oh, it's a little bit lighter. Like it's still a genuine, it's still sincere to my character, but it's just got a different flavor on it, and it's super fun actually.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to see that one too. So
yeah,
that'll be fun. Well, cool. So you get that? Did you? So those are the two things that you have on.
On the horizon. I have 2 speaking gigs that are coming up. I'm just starting to get into speaking, so those are things I'm working on. Speaking at a film festival in September, and then in April there's a leadership conference that I've been invited to be a panelist on. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
That's and that's another whole different beast, to get into. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens, but it's fun because it's just something else to challenge my brain. And then I also have and I was saying this whenever we were frozen, I was like, well, I guess I'll talk to your audience, but I have and it was this was prompted by God, but the sisterhood, so my company is called Personal Powerhouse, and I created it for a completely different reason than what I use it for now. But what I have in there is the original sisterhood, and that's for actresses 18 to 29 who are Christians and they want mentoring and they want guidance. And we meet monthly. It's like a membership, and we meet on Zoom and we talk about acting, we talk about life, and we talk about our faith, and we talk about, just everything that encompasses their world. And I have a few actor friends of mine about my age where the mentors, they're all Christians. Right. And so from that, a lot of women wanted to be in that one, but I'm like, well, this one's for the young girls.
Right.
And so I eventually started one for the older women who aren't 18 to 29. And we also meet on Zoom. It's a membership and they're so awesome. Like we just had a call today. We go over all the acting stuff and like, it's about building our careers with integrity. Right. And so today we went over Actors Access, and one of the girls let us see behind the scenes of Actors Access to what a casting director sees when we submit our stuff. So right. It's just a lot of aspects of acting and how to build your career and table reads and auditions, and it's just a whole awesome community, and the women are amazing.
Wow, that's incredible too, and that's really cool that you're doing that to help mentor, the younger actresses coming in.
Yeah.
And then, and I think that this is like a perfect time for it because now you're seeing all these, actresses coming from Hollywood who have all these horror stories of all the stuff that's happening to them, and I think having a group like that, like what you have, to be able to mentor them and talk to them, I think that's invaluable,
Right. And I didn't have that when I got into the industry. I didn't have that. I didn't know who was around me who was also setting boundaries. So it kind of feels like you're a loner when you're doing that, which is fine, but it just feels better to have the other people who are like in your corner saying it's fine. Like I was saying earlier, my husband has my back, and because of that, I feel like I have a stronger backbone because he's on my team. And so that's how these communities feel, is we're not the only ones setting boundaries. We're not the only ones saying no to this awesome role that would have paid us who knows how much.
Right.
So it feels good to know that there are others that have the same standards that you have.
Right.
It's really cool. And then and it's fun, like getting to go to festivals. And then all of a sudden, like, because you're in this community, a handful of people at these festivals. Whereas before it was like you go to these festivals and you're like, maybe I'll know a person or two. So this is just so much more fun.
So, and that's the other thing too. If more people would open up and come together, then other people out there, some of the younger generation, will understand you're not alone.
Yeah.
And so the more women who, actresses that's established, the more of them will come together and build this community. We can change the industry.
Yeah. And it's that whole phrase, like there's strength in numbers, and there really, really is.
So that's incredible. So that's another, thing we could put some information, on the interview. So now if somebody's wanting to follow, what you're doing on social media and learn more about some of your projects, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best place is Facebook. I let go of the other stuff because it was time consuming. So I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter, I don't use them. So Facebook, not a fan page, just my personal page. That's where I put the most updated stuff. And then I have links to everything from my Facebook page.
Cool. Yeah. It's awesome. And so we'll put that information, and that way, if people are trying to follow what you're doing and see all the new projects, they'll be able to go check them out.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely go check out Vindication. If you have not seen the first 2 seasons, if you're like me, who got on board late, definitely. It's well worth it. I love the show. The show is just awesome. The cast, everybody that's in it, I think has done an incredible job. The writing, I can't say enough positive about it. This is a show that's definitely worth binge watching. And then that way, when you get to the end of season 2, you'll be like me, sitting on pins and needles waiting for season 3. And then
And
I won't be alone.
I try to tell people just watch the first episode and see what you think, because a lot of times it's really funny. People will be like, I was just going to sit down and do the first episode, and I binged the whole thing until 4
Right?
a.m. So just go watch the first one and see what you think. But also, we didn't really talk about the content of it, but the content, it is a crime drama, but it deals with a lot of real life scenarios. And
Right.
there's not, you're not going to find like the sex scenes and the cussing and the gore. It's just not there. And it's more like mental. It's like a mental
Yeah.
thing that you're just like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. It's very intriguing. It's very good.
And you'd say that too. Being a crime, there's a crime show, but they deal with real issues.
Yeah.
Um, that reminds me of the last episode. Well, the episode where Thomason was at the, was fighting for his position for the chief, to become the chief.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets up and he says all the negative stuff about Travis and his family, and all the stuff they go through. And I'm thinking, what you're talking about, all the real life issues that they tackle. He like names them off almost by talking about the different people that Detective Travis has in his life. He talks about his daughter. He talks about bringing in Anthony, and then his relationship with was it Jonathan, the guy who Joe. It was Joe. It was who was one of the counselors that I guess it was a men's group that they had, and what he went through. So I mean, just that one episode, he's like, they already dealt with this issue. Yeah. So definitely go check it out. It is on Pureflix right now. So you can see seasons 1 to 2. Mm-hmm. Season 3 will be out in September. And then definitely check out Vince's social media, so you can follow all the other things that she's working on. I'm outside of the acting, I'm excited about her doing the public speaking too, because I think she'd be really awesome at that. So
thanks. I'm excited for it. It'll be fun.
Well, cool. Okay, guys. Well, until next, until tomorrow, because we got another episode tomorrow. Just remember, you guys are uniquely designed with a purpose, and always keep moving forward. Thank you so much, Venus, for being on the show. That was, I really enjoyed having you on and talking to you.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be on, so I appreciate it.
Cool. All right, you guys have a good night. Peace.
Bye.